Feeling out of control. Got this disease inside of me. 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 Shit.
Check.
Get away. I prefer the warm to a place I can stay. Don't ever let it get away. Don't ever let it get away. I prefer the warm to a place I can stay.
Hey guys, we had some technical difficulties before. I am sorry about that.
Got this disease inside of me.
Yeah, so sorry about that. We had an issue with the sound last time, and I apologize about that. So I am trying to make sure that it's monitored sound-wise as well. So please feel free to let me know. I was pretty sad about the whole thing that was going on with the sound last time, but you know, we'll deal with that in good time. You know, so anyhow, we'll get right along to it. I was actually pleased with how things were going. I just, you know, it's like, you know, if you guys do notice anything, please let me know in the chat. I'll try to make sure that I monitor, and yeah. So anyhow, I am just keeping that over there like this, trying not to look too much at it. But welcome again. I have sorry, I got to take this off now because I had a little bit of a sore throat. You can imagine playing 44 songs. Now I'm going to get to all of these ones now. I wanted to talk about Disease in Me. Was that what we were just listening to? And I apologize for the language earlier when it was starting up. Automatic is one of the songs that, and Disease in Me. Automatic's the song I'm going to be playing next. But we were banned, and I had a interaction with these guys in around 2008 to 2010. And we had a falling out, and it ended up bringing me to the People's Court. So, you know, it was really surreal. I mean, it may have been, you know, fault on all ends, but to be honest, there was way too much money spent on the album. But if you listen to the album, those guys will get paid for it. I mean, I probably have some royalties, but whatever. Never made any money on it anyway. So, you know, it's very hard to judge. But again, please let me know in the comments if there are any sound issues, and I'll start and restart again. I restarted the computer. It was, you know, I'm frustrated because I thought it was pretty good, but anyhow, you know, the whole thing with Tight White Jeans was wild. I'm gonna do a couple songs here that I played with them, but I did write the words and the lyrics and the chord changes. But we did do the songs together. We played them. It was a trio. It was me playing guitar, singing. and we had Jeff on bass and doing backing, and you had Dave on drums. And I can show you a picture later. I mean, I have it here if you want to see it. It's kind of funny because it was here. I'll do a screen share of it so you can see it. See the band we were playing. Here we go. Let's see. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we that was us at God knows, I can't remember the name of it, but it was someplace I think on Bowery. But you may remember that there's the stripper poles. That was kind of fun. So anyhow, I just wanted to show you that to give you some perspective. But it's like I've been doing this for a little while, and I hope you've been having a good night. Hope you had a good day. Hope your holiday's been well. I'm gonna get to playing some songs. So this one's called Automatic, and I really like it because it's like, well, listen to the words, see what you think. But it's sort of about trying to put yourself in good places, like and make it a habit. Like you just try to make it automatic, so you don't think about it so much. It's like, do I brush my teeth? Do I not brush my teeth? You just brush your teeth. You make it automatic. Do I make the bed? Oh no, the bed's not made. You just do it. There's a little trick that he says, if it's going to take less than 5 minutes to do it right away. And then it's out. It's like checked off the list, So anyhow, this one's called Automatic. Okay. Yo. All right. I like the moon out in the day, just like the sun that warms my face. When I think too much, I like the moon out in the day, just like the sun that warms my face. But only when I think too much. I miss the life I love the most. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. I take the time to watch the breath that rises up from your chest. I stop worrying, it leeches you. And when you're scared, just let it go. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. Now in the night, warm or cold, my eyes burn wide, locked in a mode that chills me right. Can't care too much, but feel inside and lust the touch. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. I make it automatic. I make it automatic. I tell you what I make it for. What it's for. All right, automatic. I'll show you this later. This is one of the show posters I had done. I was a big fan of Videodrome. So the famous Deborah Harry one. Alrighty. So another one down. I'm using the computer to hit these up, so I can. Oh shoot! I guess I was gonna do Fawn and Night. I could try it. Where's the words to it? Fond and Night was one. There's an album. Actually, you can check this song out on Bandcamp. There's a link. Should be a link in the stuff. I feel like it's going to be. I may actually end up starting the stream again at the halfway point because I just want to make sure that everybody has a good experience. It's been a long day. It's probably you're just finishing up food. You're like, maybe what can I watch on the interweb? Well, this is what you got. You got Fun and Night, and I really love the night. So it just feels like more productive. It feels like we're just doing more. I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but it's quieter. There's less people around. So this one's called Fun and Night. I'm stuck in the cold. I can't take much more. Besides, this life come back every night. Phone tonight, phone tonight, phone tonight. Okay, girl, knows that take up tradition. Taking my first vision, taking my confession. Doesn't take much more. The boy and the girl in the door next door. It fills the pockets. It fills with lots of money. And they can feel and make it better real. The town and town desire. Bound up to round Lake and ride. And now it has come back right. On the night, yeah. On the night to the morning light. Yeah, on the night to the morning light. On the night to the morning light. All right, so Fun and Night. I think I am gonna go live again, just because it's been a bit frustrating. These first two were rough, but nah, you know what? I'm gonna keep it moving. Keep it moving. The first one was tough too, but stick around. I'm gonna hit finish. I'm gonna re up because it's 9:20. I think starting fresh would be good. This next one I'm gonna do is called Dark Dismemberment. So just stick around and look for the next streaming situation I'm gonna do right away. Hey, we should be back on the air. I'm just checking out my my situation here on Facebook to make sure that we are live again. It should be. I'm hoping because I did. Oh, okay, cool. Very good. Very good. Very good. It's you know, it's a little frustrating when you have technical difficulties, but like I was saying before with tight white jeans, this was actually one of the posters I had put together for Ace of Clubs. This is one of the shows. Tight white jeans was the only name we could come up with that we could all agree on. Here's actually an alternative version of that same poster because I was getting very into just trying to make the cinematic thing work because you know and I'm giving people a little bit of a chance to catch back up because I did go here. This is another show poster that we did. And this was Easter. Oh, wow. I didn't even notice this. I think Easter's actually one of the bands, but isn't that cool? Easter's coming round. Oh, it was June 19th. This was my birthday show at Tommy's Tavern in Greenpoint. Man, it's so crazy how many shows you end up doing. That was a wild show, actually. The sound was awful, awful. But that's a sign of a New York show, right? Awful business. Okay, so this song that I'm about to do for you is actually one that I had written way before in 2003, and I had done it with Low Rhythms. But by the way, my nephews, giving them a shout out as I dedicated this to them, Ben and Jake. So what happened is, they like the song and they're like, oh yeah, I was like, look guys, I copyrighted all this stuff already. You want to copyright it again? Fine, let's go. They brought me to Tart. I don't know. I can't talk about it too much. I'm legally bound for confidentiality from the settlement agreement. I'm just kidding, folks. That's not true. Okay. It's surfy. Close your eyes. Too much to die. Contract bride. Spreading white lies. Darkest memory full of freak. Falling deeper, carry me. Darkest memory full of freak. Falling deeper, carry me. Evolution takes care of us. A phantom kiss of blood red trust. Darkest memory full of freak. Falling deeper, carry me. Darkest memory full of freak. Falling deeper, carry me. Gotta make sure we're queuing out. Raise the dead from inner dread. Catapult the revolts. Raise the dead from inner dread. Catapults, feel the revolt. Darkest memory full of me. Falling deeper, carry me. Darkest memory full of me. Falling deeper, carry me. Darkest memory, we're on free. We're falling deeper. Carry me, carry me, carry me. All right. Thanks, folks. Again, don't go to the People's Court. I'm not going to go there. Mugs, yes. Mm. Okay, another one down. Dark dismemberment. So this next one I'm going to do for you. Oh, what is it? Oh, The Wire. Okay. Some of these I have streets for. I just need a little bit of a refresher. All right, here we go. His wires are so tangled, living like a slave. Who will be brave? Talk is cheap, but the leaves are sweeter, taking off on you. Take this guy, sing like a fool, living up and down the road like everything is golden. Make up for a little stinker sitting on the wire. Television's only vision, making it seem everywhere. The wire, the wire, the wire that is injected in me. The wire injected in my veins. Bits of the light, lying down the night. Sparks that burn, lethargic turn, empty stairs, electric hair, wishing for a change, there to say, living up and down the road like everything is golden. Make up for little stinkers sitting on the wire. Television's only vision, making it seem everywhere. The wire, the wire, the wire that is injected in me. The wire injected in my veins. All right, that's another one bites the dust, folks. The Wire. Okay, moving along. I'm keeping it real. I have a set list this time. I'm not going to show you because it's taped up. It's taped up as if it should. So after this one song, this one's I think the last one I'm doing of the exclusively Tight White Jeans. The Wire actually was written with low rhythms, and but it was shorter. It was like sort of a GBV thing. Then we kind of expanded it for a full length song with these guys' version of the band. Anyhow, so this one is about being an older guy dating younger. So this is definitely for the later night crew, but it's it was just sort of what happened, Anyhow, this one's chilling back to settle down. I see you see me, feel you dream me. Oh man, not too old to live as hot as you can. Oh man, Think you're acting not as old as I am. Oh man, oh man. We're living young, just a couple years between the age. I wanna show you that there's nothing to fear. Oh man, not too old to live as hard as you can. Oh man, think you like you're not as old as I am. Oh man, oh man. Seems like we've both been here before. Feels like we've both been here before. Take a second chance at this again. Need a second chance at this again. This again. At this again. At this again. Before it starts, it is a new, familiar face. Just like we've both been here before. Oh man, not so old to live as hard as you can. Oh man, you think you like you're not as old as I am. Oh man, oh man. Yeah. Another one bites the dust. Yeah. Yes. I was learning Hedwig and the Angry Inch the other time, and it's pretty good. How's the sound? Please comment if there's any issues. I'd hate to be going the whole 3 hours with so just take a quick water drink. This next one I'm going to do is called Tear It Down. And I wrote this right after I left. It was like after they put these ultimatums on me, I was kind of in a situation where I was like, well, look, you guys are both ganging up on my situation. And they just, I mean, they told me to shut up and play because I'm a pain in the butt. But, I was like, look, I'm not going to do that. So I started my own band and I called it Ductape Halo. And this was the show, Potion Collective, Remedy. It was put on by, it was put on by Potion, but we had a lot of really great bands. Actually, Toby was one of the artists we featured, Toby Stretch, and a number of great artists actually. And it was at the Loom in Bushwick. And it was before they had a lot of shops in there. So we took advantage of it. And that was what this picture was. I'm just going to get this up on the, this is Toby and I. And we were, that was the guitar I had. And he came up and was visiting with us, and then I'm going to show you where's the other one. Oh, okay. And then you know, I had another one here that I wanted to show you. This was actually me performing. Excuse me. This is me performing there, and oh man, it was Crash Robin. Jeez, oh man, I can't remember the dude's name, but he was doing sound right there, and this was me playing acoustic guitar. So yeah, I don't like doing it like that. But so anyhow, I'm gonna do Tear It Down, and we'll see how it goes. Pound for pound, I like the nasty. Pound for pound, I like the nasty. I lick the ball, I strike the fancy. I nick the nag, I tick the tie. Tear it down. Tear it down. Tear it down to build it back up. You tear it down just to build it up. Don't stop. You feel to feel. And anytime. Anytime. Tear it down. Tear it down. Tear it down to build it back up. Tear it down. Tear it down. Tear it down. Tear it down. So glad the sound's coming back, right? Thank you very much. Oh man. I feel the need for another honey blast. Oh. It's the only thing I chug nowadays. I love that there's a little bit of a delay on this thing so I can see myself, what I look like. It is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. What do I got next for you? It's so hard. Okay, good. I can turn this computer down a little bit. It's so hard. Now, next couple songs are ones that I did in college. They're like what do you call it? Songs that I used to play with the Mama's crew. Like we'd party, at Mama's or Jackie K's or whatever, and every night we would rage, and I did a couple different songs, but It's So Hard was one of the ones we did, and I think I'm going to switch to acoustic for this because it was what I did. It's what I used. Sorry, I almost swallowed a lemon seed. Oh man. Oh man. So yeah, I can't find any pictures from then, but I have a movie up called the Roach movie, and the Roach Motel. That was where Jackie Kay lived, and it was a single bedroom apartment, studio apartment, and we packed some people in. And when I would get freaked out sometimes, you know, and I would lose my mind because it was tough for me for some reason. I would, it was probably the drinking because we drank excessively. But I would go hide in the shower because there's really no else place to go, and I didn't want to leave because it was so far off campus. So this song probably was written about that, but it was also written about my ex-girlfriend from high school. So it's a common thing I think a lot of people go through with breakups and whatnot. So this one's called "It's So Hard." It's so hard to deny you when you're drunk, and if there is a time when you just want to fuck, I know it isn't easy being the way we are. I know it isn't funny, and this shit's gone way too far. I lose my mind when I drink the wine. We all smoke too much. Our school career is fucked, and all I know is you don't love me anymore. Can't you see that my heart's upon the floor? All I know is it isn't really true, so get it while you can. I'm not sure I believe in love the way it used to be for you and me. And when I told you it was over, I thought that I'd be free. Oh, what are you trying to tell me? When you laugh into the phone. My tears, they protect me. They keep me from being alone. I lose my mind when I drink the wine. Maybe I'll smoke too much. High school and our lives are fucked, yeah. All I know is you don't love me anymore. Oh, can't you see that my heart's upon the floor? All I know is it isn't really true. So get it while you can. Get it while you can. All I know, oh, you don't love me no more, yeah. Now I know isn't really true, so get it while you can. Get it while you can in the end. All right. Throwing them back. Throwing the songs back, I should say. A lot of these songs are about drinking because that's what I was doing then, and I have come to realize that drinking was a real problem for me. So, you know, this is some of the things that I'm doing now to try to focus my energy. And, you know, even though, like, I'll have to admit, some of these songs I would normally rehearse quite a bit more, but I'm sort of like winging it because this is just sort of what's going on, you know, in terms of trying to do 44 songs in one day live. I like the idea, and it's like whatever happens, happens. You know, so this next one is How Many Times, and I actually recorded this on a 4-track with Dave Slabonic at the Roach, and it was pretty cool. You know, it's sort of, we were really into Guided by Voices. He actually kind of introduced me to him, and then it became like an obsession. Once you kind of like it, oh, sirens. Yep, sirens in the background. That's why I got the headphones on, folks. All right, so it's funny too because in the recording it was raining, and there was some screeching tires on the wet roads, and we ended up getting that onto the that was in the background. The car is driving by. I always like the sound of rain on pavement. Anyway, this one's How Many Times. The goose is loose. That's all that I needed. Smack the fog, let the flock reach to the bleeding. And if you happen to find the key, let me know what it knocks and sets free. And you know the one to be, you know the one to beat is. How many times could you hold your weight? How many times could you feel that way? Hey, hey. How many times could you feel that holding the weight? Oh, how many times could you feel that way? Pick your nose off the shore, let it be. And I see and I walk through the me. Yeah. Pick your nose off the shore. Let your feet tangle in your hair. And you know the one to beat, you know the one to beat is. How many times could you hold your weight? How many times could you feel that way? Hey, hey. How many times could you hold waiting to feel that way. How many times, how many times, how many times, I say, how many times could you feel that way? Another one down. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's. I wish I could throw them, but there's really nowhere to throw them. All right, where did my lugging of water? Ran out of tea. So, yeah, coming back on an hour. We're doing. So this next one, it's called "Waiting for Three," and then I'm going to switch over back to electric, and I have a couple fun ones. So this one was written about the Maiden. Okay, and this story is something that Dave Kohara, he was a guy that I went to college with at Kutztown, and he was a writer, and he was part of the Mama's crew. We chilled and everything, and he was into Bukowski and a number of other poets that kind of introduced me to Bukowski, and he's a poet. So I was like, well, I write poetry with my music, so I wanted to. We set a challenge to say, okay, here's one of my pieces of art, and it was something I did with coffee, and it was about the Maiden, saying, okay, well, what is it that is your muse, like that kind of a thing. So it was a cool test, which he didn't really do, because I went back and I says, hey, here's this song, and he's like, I didn't do it. I was like, okay, no worries. But this is how that song came about, and I wrote this in 1997, just to give you some perspective in time. So this is like just about the muse. She waits for me to come conscious. All that I see are coffee stains. Take me from this place. I'm virgin. Give it a new name. Calling my surgeon. Fix what I've lost in life. Give to another's plight. To lose all and gain it back is all a part of the conscious find. And I'm waiting for number 3. It's slowly starting to come to me. I'm waiting for number 3. It's coming to me. Sadness is what takes care of the time. Beauty's never lost. Read between the lines. Sanctuaries in the freedom of self. Circles are drawn in the sand. Stay a while with him. Tell me if it's worth the swim. I'm sitting in my box, teaching birds to jump my sunset. I'm waiting for number 3. It's slowly starting to come to me, yeah. I'm waiting for number 3. It's it started to come to me. I'm never loose if it seems that way. Oh, the sadness is here to stay. Yeah, folks. I was a sad guy all the time, and all right. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to share this to some groups so that I get a little bit of traffic in here. We'll see what happens. Posting. It's pretty interesting how you can share on Facebook this way. And I'm glad that I got a little warmed up because I was really concerned that I kind of killed my situation here. But I'm going to do some other cool stuff. So the next one coming up is called Silk of the Snow. And it's actually kind of cool to keep this going. Yeah, so to kind of keep this on, Silk of the Snow, I wrote about a tryst, because I thought that it would be kind of cool to kind of write it. Like when I was young, you're in high school and stuff, and you don't really have anywhere to get busy because you're trying to keep yourself from doing whatever, getting caught by your parents or whatever. So a lot of times you go outside and just like hang out. What do you do in the winter? What do you do when it's the wintertime? You throw a blanket down on the snow, and there you go. So that's what I'm doing here. This next one coming up is Hey, all right. So here we go. This next one's called Silk of the Snow, and like I said, it's I did this one. This is one of the faster ones I did with Tight White Jeans. So it's kind of, I did it with Tight White Jeans, but I wrote this in 2004 or 5 when I was doing my 4-track business. And, I spent a lot of time by myself when I was in Jersey City. I didn't really know anybody in the city yet. So, I worked and pretty much came home, smoked bud. And then, it was sort of a thing. I would do this, go here, do my recording on a 4-track, cassette 4-track, and then I'd watch a movie or something. That was just my routine. I get slices at Three Brothers Pizza down at Journal Square off the path. So when I was there, I knew, it was hard for me to find bud, and I should say that I'm clean and sober. I've been sober now for 47 days. So it's interesting, 44, 47, no correlation, but it's very close, interestingly enough. So I, it was I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but let me finish getting into the Silk with the Snow. Yeah. No one can say I don't want you to go. It's summer cover in the silk of the snow, in the silk of the snow, in the snow. The empty smile, take control. What comes out of night? I realize you're right. Lay awake at night. I really need you. The deal is in the snow, no. Got a filthy grin. It's the same inside. It's under the cover in the silk of the snow, in the silk of the snow, in the snow. Oh, why don't you meet me in the park? The wind is whipping lust in trees, a chill to your lips, still frozen taste, still meant to take my breath away. Got a filthy grin, it's the same inside, in some other cover, in the silk of the snow, in the silk of the snow, in the snow. I would try to live in the snow and to stop time. No one can say I don't want you to go. In summer the cover, in the silk of the snow, 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 in the snow. Yes, it is a loop pedal. These songs. So this next one I'm going to do is called Diamonds into Rust, and this is a newer one, and it's going to be a special treat because this was when I kind of had this idea of the Kill Room as the place where you do your business, but like, this is like where you're killing it in the creative center. So it's like your studio is like, I was thinking about, I was watching Dexter at the time, so that's really thought of it, but I sort of also thought about it in terms of like somebody like a Duchamp or somebody who is like kind of, you know what I mean? There's some pretty morbid art out there. Man, I'm drawing blanks on names right now, but this one coming up, Diamonds into Rust, I have a backing track for, and it's funny enough. It's funny. It's not funny, but it was. I was inspired by Spanish guitar. So without further ado, this is Diamonds into Rust. And it's about turning something good into garbage. Because, like, sometimes you can take something that you have and kind of, thinking you're trying to make it better, but you're really turning it, you're making something that's already beautiful, that already something that you have within you, and trying to improve it. And by improving it in your mind, you're actually tarnishing it. And sometimes you just got to be who you are, and it's confidence in yourself, and where you derive that from is your own journey. But like, anyhow, let's go through it, and you can hear the words for yourself and see what you think. Hopefully this is fine. You're living among us, but you're last to go. Holding on to the old ways, stay true to the flow. Take something perfect, regurgitate its worth. Regurgitate it, tell me where it hurts. Work so hard on this enough. Turning diamonds into rust. Waited so long for this love. Turning diamonds into rust. Value lies in product. Might as well tonight. Desecrate the once great love. Let that obsession die. I won't try to stop you. Surrender your pride. Surrender your life. Work so hard on this enough. Turning diamonds into rust. Waited so long for this love. Turning diamonds into starry fantasy. Rolling over the tainted cotton sky. Smiles from flirting. Basic bidding discrimination. Starry fantasy. Rolling over the tainted cotton sky. Smiles from flirting. Basic bidding discrimination. illusion. Come back to sight. Steal back what was taken from you. Destroy your life. Come in me closer. And distract my eyes. Distract me. Distract me. Not this time. Worked so hard on this enough. Turning diamonds into rust. Waited so long for this love, this love. Turning diamonds into rust. Yeah, thank you. I am a little hoping that the backing track would be loud enough. I hope it is. So Diamonds into Rust, folks. It is 10:12. I need to use the bathroom, so I'm going to leave you with a low rhythms version. So I'm going to do a BRB. Do the BRB bathroom break. Okay. Before I do, I'd like to say donations are welcome. Please donate to Venmo at DJasonV. Sorry. Look at the screen. There's a link down in the comments. Venmo Daniel-Victor-2. Here you go. This is a little bit easier to see. So I'm gonna be right back after I go to the bathroom. I'm going to be doing Mistakes Take Place, which is another one with a backing track. And I'm excited about that one because that's actually really more recent one, wrote within the last 2 years. And I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite recent songs that I've done. So I'll be back before the song is over. And here, I'm going to leave you with another picture. Here we go. Let me get the screen share up for you folks, because here we go. Is this the BRB picture?
Just like the mission we were trying to save. So we went down to the ground, and they say, no use trying to save me, it's a boy. If only I could reach the boy inside, I wouldn't hide anymore. Falling down, feet away. wasting away washes over me. It feeds on the need. Love is the way to break the record. Our maps we choose when there's nothing left. What do we gotta lose? We're losing our minds. And they say no use trying to save me. It's a ploy. If only I could reach the void inside, I know the instant I saw you, so get on my back. We'll fly to an ending. On and on you try to find a silver alibi. Learn to chase what you hate. Don't worry, don't debate. On and on you try to find a silver alibi. Learn to taste what you hate. I don't know where you came from. Save me, save me.
I'm back, folks. Sorry it took so long. I figured it would I just needed to make some tea and take a pee. If that's too much info, then that's why we got the late night sitch. Lock up your kids now. I mean, none of this stuff is really bad. I mean, what am I talking about? Problems, mental chillness is something I just want to address quickly because this is about mental health, and I'm gonna do another song, but mistakes take place is about we all make them, and the expectation for us to be perfect is just not logical, frankly. You can't do everything, and sometimes you feel like you can't do anything but make mistakes. But look at these beautiful nephews of mine, Ben and Jake, and you can tell this is steaming hot, so I'm not going to get too ambitious with it. Ooh, that's good. That's good stuff. Anyhow, here we go. Back in action, but I will tune my guitar because these backing tracks are in tune. So if I'm not in tune, you'll definitely be able to tell. I mean, technically I could sing it like a thing, but I never liked the idea of doing tracks just to do tracks. I'll show you a different picture later. So this is Mistakes Take Place. This is technically set to Mistakes Take Place. I mean, I know the words, but it's really just as a precaution, just in case. It's a J-I-K-C. J-I-C. Just in case. Okay, here we go. a pretty girl, I will sacrifice my will upon the plans that I will devise. Mine wish for survival, a denial of which that will put me on trial. Anytime I try to get it nice, timing is wrong, but intentions are right. Giving up and laughing in the end. Wish we could have stayed just a little more than friends. You just bottled it up, and you smiled and told us we were good. Give you mostly what you want, and you told me it isn't enough. Anytime mistakes are made, you take it out on me and then you take it to the grave. I say that. Anytime mistakes take place, you run away to hide from it. You find another place. You find another place. When I think about your joyful smile, takes me a moment to remember the way you were happiest in times when you were entering into my mind. Worst thing we could say is we neglected the loving way, requesting and longing for being next to you. All that feels bitter feeling. When it's over, I will say you took the easy way, okay? Return to the things you know. Just remember, it's never your fault. Anytime mistakes are made, you take it out on me and then you take it to the grave. I say that. Anytime mistakes take place, you run away to hide from it. You find another place. Anytime mistakes are made. Anytime mistakes are made. Anytime mistakes are made. Anytime mistakes take place. Anytime mistakes take place. Anytime mistakes are made. Anytime mistakes take place. Anytime mistakes take place. Anytime mistakes are. Anytime mistakes are made. Take it out on me and then you take it to the grave. I said that. Anytime mistakes take place, you run away to hide from it. You find another place. Yes, mistakes do take place. So another one down. Man, I will tell you, I wanted to show you one thing quick before we moved along. I want to show you one thing quick before one of the things I did was this is some drawings I did. I had this idea for a Ductape Halo. That's the first one. A Ductape Halo comic book, and these are some drawings I made, and it was like sort of this like a drinking superhero that did drinking and to get special powers, but it was also his weakness, and I think that that's sort of interesting. These are stickers I made of I used to do this thing called gut tricks, and I would put a lighter in my stomach and I would shoot it out because I thought I was fat at the time. Isn't that wild? You think these things about yourself when you're young. Oh my God, I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. All these things. I'd be like, believe me, you're good. You're all good. I don't think they say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. They're not talking about someone else. They're talking about you. They're talking about seeing yourself as beautiful before anybody else can see yourself as beautiful, see you as beautiful, because that place within really gives you beauty. Even, I mean, there's something special when you feel when you feel love in your heart, that's something that is intangible, that attracts you to people, that attracts, like, when you forget that you have that kind of love in your heart, it's sometimes difficult to remember. That's why this music is so important to me, because it allows me to, remember how I felt, because music is such a strong reminder. You have a time when this song reminded you of something, and it was like, well, look, you've excuse me, and you're brought back to some place in high school when you're driving. We're like, oh man, I used to listen to this cassette tape in the car, and ooh, that burns so good. Ooh. I had to do that. That was there just for that one moment, because I don't think I have any songs where I can go. This is the last song I have with a backing track, and I'm talking all about like this really, really, what do you call it? High stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. I was like, I am not using certain things. So, all right. So this one's called Death Warrant. And I kind of like it because it's again, like very, it's reminiscent of the surfy rock thing that really came from the Pixies and some other stuff, the Ventures, things like that. It's funny where you draw your inspiration from. This one is a catchy one. I like it. And while I'm just making sure I'm tuned up, because you don't want to be embarrassed now. Actually, I'll tell you, one time I was very embarrassed because I didn't have a tuner and I was very drunk at an open mic in Manioc. I used to live in Belmont Hills, and it was right next to this incredibly mobbed up restaurant. And Phillies get a lot of mob relations, just so you know. Not that it matters. Played this in Manioc at Grape Street Pub, and it was I was waiting so long. I got so drunk while just putting it back unintentionally, that I got on stage and I forgot the words to my own songs, and my guitar kept going out of tune. The guy who was hosting says, "Listen, man, maybe you shouldn't drink so much. You forget the words to your own songs." And I was so embarrassed that I realized that, one, I got to always, have a tuning pedal, and I bought the Boss Chromatic Tuner, best pedal I ever bought. And then I also I just made a point to not get drunk before you perform. It's very important. If you're a performer, it does not give you superpowers. You perform worse. And, and smoking bud, that does not... smoking weed. It's funny. I have this shirt, weed, but I thought it was kind of funny because it's a cat, and it's like, cat's got catnip and it's its own whatever. But, it doesn't make you better. It makes you feel better about the music you play. You think you're more connected, and in a way it kind of greases the wheels, but it's not really giving you anything that you don't already have. So this one is Death Warrant, and it's like, it's a little bit about paranoia. It's a little bit about, just people in general out to get me, but that's, again, paranoia, part of the mental illness, trying to be mentally chill. So here we go. This is Death Warrant. And it's go out for a walk in the park. You sure this is over? This is over any night. Do you propose this is on the woman that you can? 'Cause you're the world that you carry, that you make it for another man. And the look on your face, can't you see what I'm saying? And it's all out of place, got you all in my face. You stabbed me in the back, now I'm paying for it all because I touched you deep. You signed my death warrant. You signed my death warrant. This is over when you say it's over. What's your safe word? Bitches are out, they're just waiting for cover. It's raining balls of fire and there's angels of death on my doorstep. You go through to a die relationship, don't pass this. And the look on your face, can't you see what I'm saying? And it's all out of place, got you all in my space. You stabbed me in the back, now I'm begging for it all because I got you deep. Now I'm never worrying. You signed my death warrant. You signed my death warrant. You signed my death warrant. Because I got you deep. You stabbed my dear woman. You signed my dead warrant. Yeah, you signed my dead warrant. You signed my dead warrant. Yes, I am very pleased. I'm feeling pretty pumped. I don't know how you guys are. Tell me about it. I have to check the chat because I haven't checked the chat in a while. It's okay because there's no one chatting me up. They're listening. They're just checking it out. Okay. So I don't know what's going on in my head. But anyhow, getting to set 2. Here we are. All right, so I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. Gonna do one. Anything you got? All right, so this one. Now, this is also about taking. I had this thing where I felt like I should just take whatever I can get because something's better than nothing, and I think that this is a song that's kind of pointing that little fact out. That's like, well, it's not okay to just take anything you got. It's like there's some people who are selfish in this world, and again, it's a reflection. And I'm trying to keep certain things in mind so I can keep myself in a good place. And it's not about like trying to figure out what's wrong with other people or what's happening. So what's somebody else's intentions? You got to think about your intentions. I got to think about my intentions. And my intentions really are to have like a happy existence. I don't My intention is not to hurt anyone. And I think sometimes what it is we're hurting people because we're in need, and we don't, it's like when you're in survival mode, and that's how I feel I've been in my whole life. And it's like that's with being bipolar, it's difficult to really tell what's going on, sometimes, and you're just trying to make it through. And sometimes with a job, or stress, or family, or relationships, or whatever, it just adds to the stress of a situation that's already bad. And the thing is, it's very misunderstood. Again, I'll check out NAMI.org, NAMI.org. There's a lot of really great information. If you have somebody who's mentally ill, try to find out some things about it. I'll tell you, when I was in the mental ward in Beth Israel, I remember I was there for about 14 hours 17 hours, I think, before they let me in. I was sitting in a bed. I was severely depressed, and but also manic. I just it was like there's a woman who came in there, and she had just been taken in there, and involuntarily admitted, because she was in ECT, which is electro shock treatment. And the thing is that I think one of the things is misunderstood is that actually helps people who are schizophrenic in some cases. Now, again, I am not a doctor. But some of these doctors don't know anything. They're going on the DSM, which is the DSM is the way that people categorize, the psychiatric community categorizes what you are, and it continually changes. So they've updated a number of times. There's and it's like it's not an exact science, because it's very hard to detect. There's no blood test to say, oh, this is what you are. They have to trial and error, throw you full of drugs. And the thing is that this woman was coming out of ECT, and what happens is that you flip out, and she's on heavily antipsychotics. She had trusted her psychiatrist, and her psychiatrist admitted her against her will, and she didn't even know it was happening, and it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And I saw this, and they were trying to get her to take some drugs, and they weren't being kind, and they also said to me at the same time, they were like, oh, are you ready to go home now? I says, no, I'm not going home until you let me in. I said, are you trying? Because they were like, well, you don't have health insurance. I says, are you denying me care because I don't have health insurance? And he walked away, and I got a room. But it took me a while, and I thought I was in heaven when I went up there at first, because comparatively, like, I'll tell you what, when I was in there, I first was sitting in the waiting room, and this woman kept telling me to kill myself. She's like, kill yourself, do yourself a favor and die. And she was also sick, and needed to be there. But she ended up getting up and punching me in the head. And I was already, I was like, listen, this is effed up, So they gave me some Ativan and finally calmed me down. But it's like, this is what happens to you when you're getting treated. Okay, this is a good hospital. It's got some money to it, but I can only imagine if I had gone to Woodlawn, which is around here, what kind of treatment I would have gotten. And God forbid, this is the kind of situation where you might even be forced to kill yourself, because you're just not getting the care that you need, and that's unfortunately the thing. This is where really understanding what it is, and doctors didn't even understand. So I had to advocate for this one woman and say, this is not right. So I stood up, and they didn't like the noise I was making, because I was making sense. Even in my psychotic state, I was making sense. So I finally got up there, and I was like, oh, this is great. And she was chill because she was up there, and it was like, but I'll tell you, there was screaming every night. People were getting into fights, and the meds weren't right. So they were acting out. And it's like, it's just, they don't have enough money is part of it. to really facilitate these things. And some of the nurses there are great. I had a couple nurses. There's one nurse that came in the middle of the night to give me Seroquel, which ended up, causing me to flip out and pull my room apart. My roommate didn't want to be with me anymore. But, he came in and he messed with me in the middle of the night. And I was like, what are you doing? And I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't get up. And I was like, please give me Ativan. I cannot function. Like I'm freaking out. It was crawling. It was like my body was moving, but I wasn't moving. They kept calling it something else. But it was something else, but it wasn't right. That wasn't what was going on. And it's just, it was hard. And this was like Easter was going on and Notre Dame actually had caught on fire. And it was like, it was depressing to be in there. I didn't want to be there, but I had to be in there so I could get the treatment that I needed. I had no money. I needed to get health insurance, so I got on Medicaid, and I made sure that they got me a program before I was. I'm not going to leave because they want you to leave. They don't want you to be their problem anymore. Okay, their facilities, their day room was all that thing. There were people throwing stuff around on the floor, and again, it's not some of these people's faults. It's that they're just not well, and they need treatment. They're sick, and they need compassion. Not to step over them. They're not disposable people. We are not disposable people. No one is disposable. So that's my little bit on mental illness and my trip to the mental facility. But anything you got is not enough. You need to know that it's not enough. You need to be given what it is that you anyhow, I could talk more about it, but I want to get back to some music.
Tell me what to do. I've been waiting for you. Got me all tangled up. Now give me something to hold. Even if it's old, I'll take anything. Anything, oh. Wait out. Take anything that you're offering me, baby. My need is close to my heart. To live in silence, the heavens above, they're watching down on us. I'll take anything. Anything you got. Anything you got. Right now I need a miracle. Right now I'm yielding love. And even if I never said my piece, at least directly in your face, I'll take anything. Anything you got. Anything you got. Anything you got.
you got. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to say that before we go much further, because if you're watching, it means a lot, because you know, these are my songs, but these are expressing a lot of these thoughts that I realized have so much to do with wellness. It has so much to do with what these struggles are. This is a peek inside the mind of somebody who is dealing with this. This isn't somebody who's a degenerate. We have value. Our value is not determined on how much money we can bring to the table or how much money we do. It's about your impact in bringing joy to people's lives. I mean, I'm not trying to take credit for bringing joy into people's lives, but what I am trying to do is to help people realize the joy within them, because this is my joy. This is what I get pleasure out of. And granted, I'll be honest, all the songs that I'm performing, I've written, but I've performed them way better. One, I can't hit the same notes that I used to. As you get older, the notes are harder to hit. And two, it's like, as I'm doing this, I'm going to drip one of these things into the deal. It's like, it's not about how good you do in these songs. I mean, I'm very much a perfectionist. I want to do a nice presentation. I mean, I did work a little hard on trying to get these presentations out. So with that, I am going to put out my tip thing. So Venmo me at Daniel-Victor-2. The link is down in the back, and I have Cash App too, but the Venmo is really, really a good one to do. I like it. It's direct. If you have it, most people do. It's a great way to do it if you want to. I just would say donations are welcome. But seriously, that's not why I'm doing this. It would be helpful because I'm not able to work right now. I'm actually trying to. I've submitted for disability, but because of Corona, I mean, I am well in direct right to get disability for mental illness because it's a progressive disease. It's only getting worse. In terms of dealing with it, it doesn't mean that I can't be productive. It's just that I can't be consistently productive. Because you're looking at all this and you're like, Dan, wow, how did you end up doing all of this? This is really wild. I mean, I do have certain insights because I have to work very hard to try to create something, I don't know. It's also creativity and all that jazz. But, I just wanted to say that it is a pleasure to play these things and to be able to do this, if not to inspire your own creativity, to find your own voice. So moving on down the line, sympathy. All right. So sympathy, I thought was a cool concept because, sympathy for the devil, how they never say sympathy for the devil in the song, the Rolling Stones song. So I wrote a song where sympathy for the devil is the lyric in the song, but sympathy is the title. I just wanted to, toss it on its end and see what's stuck there. Okay. So, here we go. I actually got my set list together on the break. I had some soup, had some frozen burritos. Thank you. My Snap did come through, so I am happy about that. I was waiting for 3 months. It was getting desperate. So, all right. So this is. There we go. Stop. What you doing? Deep in thought. I trust him. What I forgot.
cry. Mismatched and overthrown. I've been training undertone. I have sympathy for the devil. His plans are simple trouble. Do anything you try to make it sing, despite what you might think. I'm a 17-year-old hypocrite, lots of trouble and bowling alley. Get me stupid, my head is a bowling ball. This on the crowd, take off your clothes and disarm the crowd. You're 17 now. I have sympathy for the devil. His plans are simple trouble. You make me sleep on the couch tonight. You never know your name, but you treat me right. Take me in my place, tell me what to wear. Treat me like a dog, you fucking care. I have sympathy for the devil. His plans are simple trouble. Sympathy for the devil. Sympathy for the devil. Sympathy, 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 sympathy. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing.
I'm going to tell you what that song's about. It's about a lot of things, actually. Deep in thought, I trust what I forgot. Mismatched and overthrown. I've been training the overtoned. I mean, there's the whole thing with the sympathy for the devil is understanding that there's a devil within each of us. I'm not talking about evil. I'm talking about the ability to sin and make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? There's a theme here, right? There's a theme amongst all my music. It's not about being evil or loving evil. It's saying, I understand what it's like to make mistakes. Drinking was a huge mistake. I cause myself and people a lot of harm because of this stuff. And I'll tell you, and then you end up listening to these things and it says, you make me sleep on the couch tonight. That isn't somebody sending me to the couch. That's me sending myself to the couch. That's me passing out on the couch. I never know your name, but you treat me right. Right? Who am I around? I don't know. Who is mine? What is my name? You put me in my place. You tell me what to wear. I like being treated like a dog. You fucking care. I have sympathy for the devil. His plans are simple trouble. It's kind of cool to read the words in as much as sing them, because the words are really it's funny. I don't even listen it's very hard for me to hear words in music. I have to read them or have to hear them many times. That's part of the reason I don't do covers. And I have some more left. It's 11 o'clock and I'm still feeling good. My voice is uh, hurting, but 6 hours of playing music will do that to you. So we're in hour 5 of the Danathon. Help me stay out of the unemployment line. No. Okay, so nostalgia. This is about an ex. All about past relationships. But this is about nostalgia. This song is about what thinking more pleasantly about memories than they were actually to live. Because it's like if you've ever been through a circumstance and it's like it's really shitty, but you forget what it's like. You forget how shitty it is. It's not like you're trying to focus on it. You're trying to move on, but like you have these fantasies about the past that was so good, and oh man, those good times, they were so good, but they're not good necessarily, or they're not bad either. But the memory is tainted by the way you want to feel about that, or what it may be. I don't know. I mean, I speaking for myself, but this is what the song is about. That particular situation of nostalgia, and it has to do with how you thought about past loves.
What if she could think about it? Wouldn't listen to what she'd say. Younger than she thinks, amusing little way. The tone of voice makes me stay. I love the look I get sometimes, knowing she thinks she can mold me better than being alone, I guess. For right now, she's the best I can get. Memories are swimming in the torture, always sweeter than you remembered. How do you start to get over when you're caught up in nostalgia? After bed I hit my pipe. Inner dealings, I know this isn't right. Putting aside what I want, not too drunk to fight as the sun is coming up. Memories are swimming in the torture, always sweeter than you remember. How do you start to get over when you're caught up in nostalgia? Memories are swimming in the torture when you're caught up in nostalgia. Nostalgia. Nostalgia.
Yeah. there's tons of words, but here we go. This is To Lighten It Up, Herbal Layover. Now, it's funny because I wrote this in 1996. These are all like, some of these have years on them, some of them don't. So I've been trying to like let you know as they come up. I have a couple more. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6, 7, depending on how I feel. Okay, so this one is called Herbal Layover. Herbal Layover. So what this is was about. All right, so I had not tripped before, and this song is about that. Is about tripping, but herbal layover. I had no idea what that was really. I was kind of talking out of my butt, but it's funny how I described the experience pretty good. It was from, I had smoked pot at this time, but I remember writing this, and I had no idea. This is actually a bass line that I'm going to be playing, but I thought the bass line is so cool. It's like this one. It's like, wait, how down? Wait, see if I got it. No hands. Close enough. All right, I'll do it. I'll do this. Shout out your name to my God. I know the pain you've cultivated. I only wish to buy your trade. Here you go on the tips of tongues. Take them wisely. You will be dropped in a haze. You don't know where you are. Take another little drop on the way to work, and you're putting up the tent, and you start the fire. Wow, I don't know, I don't see, I just understand nothing is right. Things are starting to turn into a layover. Does it seem right? Is it turning into an herbal layover? I wanna help you so bad. Time is the only healer. They say what you know. Talk to the medicine man. I've got fast lips and you can't touch them. See how they move so fast, you can't get in my way. I want your haze in your herbal layover. Things are starting to burn into an herbal layover. Yeah.
into herbal layover, herbal Oh, I want your body so bad, can't take enough. Even though it seems so scary, I just want your herbal medicine, taking care of your junk. I want your herbal layover, herbal layover. I want your herbal layover. Yeah, I want your herbal. Are starting to turn into herbal layover. Doesn't seem right to turn it into herbal layover. Herbal layover.
So, hey, all right. Moving along, there's so getting through. Got a few more here. Got a few more. Got a few more. Yeah, actually, I don't need this, so I'm going to put this down. Control group is the next one. Now, I had this thought that I've used my life like a science project. Like I'm not exactly sure what works, because there's a lot of people who are like saying, okay, well, you know, this is what you need to do to succeed or to have a happy life. You know, you kind of have some benchmark of, you know, I don't know, you know, what is happiness? You know, you try to you try to find some way of determining that. And, you know, one of the things I always struggle is like, what is it that I don't know how to keep myself together, you know, like keep it together just for so long, you know, and how can one continue to keep it together to endurance? And I don't know the answer exactly, but I do think that you know, having good people around you and having people who are willing to be there for you, and you know, and in turn you can be there for them. Not everybody has that intention, you know. Some people you know, may not even realize that they're not that they're being harmful. I may not realize. I don't know the effect that I have on other people necessarily, unless there's some evidence to that. You know, I think there's certain things that I know that I would be upset by if I was to do and have them done to me. And I think that's the golden rule: treat others as you treat yourself. But sometimes I don't treat myself so well, right? So how are you going to treat anybody else well if you don't even treat yourself well, or you treat other people better than you would treat yourself? It's kind of a head trip, you know? So you get into this, you know, this cycle of thinking, right? So control group, the idea is that I'm experimenting with my life, what works. And my brother, he's fairly, I mean, let's say he's a more conventional, like very smart guy. And, you know, but like in terms of what society deems acceptable, I mean, he really succeeded, you know, did well in school, you know, got married, had children, has a house, has a job, you know, all of those things that society kind of measures as being important. You know, not that they're not, but that's like, I don't, you know, for me, I had these different interests and desires. I wanted to live in New York. I wanted to live in Brooklyn. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to play music in New York. I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to travel. Well, I didn't really travel very much. I did, you know, I lived different places, but I wanted to see what life was like in these places that I had never been, and, you know, places that weren't necessarily acceptable. And I did see these places. for better or worse. So I think, we don't necessarily choose our path, or I think we have to adapt to the situations that happen. Because you can't control what happens outside of yourself, right? So these are things that I'm telling myself as much as I'm saying to you, because if I continue to say them and I share them with you, then it helps me as well. It's a really interesting thing. If I'm sharing this with you and it helps you, that's great too. And my intention is to help you. But as a result of that, I'm actually being, given a gift of like connecting, and and that's a really cool thing, especially when that's the intention and in the mutual sense. But you got to be careful of people who are out to take advantage of that, because there are people that do. And I've in my that song "Anything You Got," in trying to get attention or get help, and trying to be forthbearing, I've chosen poorly in terms of company to keep. And I've been taken advantage of that way. And, I'm not saying, I mean, I'll just leave it at that, and, because I couldn't keep myself together, it was very hard for me to defend or even be aware of it, because I couldn't really see outside of my own mind. And some of this is not a choice of me choosing to be this way. It's more, or choosing to think this way. It's sort of these thoughts happen, and it takes a lot of effort to handle that, and to try to see clearly and compensate for what some people do effortlessly. I mean, there's certain things that I do effortlessly that you probably might not be able to do. Like, I do these songs, I write these things. It's not effortless, but like I have a propensity to do these things, Ooh, nice. It's something that I've built up the craft of doing this, and, being in a certain state, to let that happen. And I don't mean like a state of inebriation or altered sense. I'm talking about being able to feel the source that hit the well, choose that well of, hit the well that is the unlimited source of creativity, that power that a lot of people call God, a lot of people call their higher power. In terms of creatively I'm saying like I'm drawing upon that to let it use me as a filter, to create a lot of this stuff. So without going too much further into it, I'm going to do control group. This is about my brother being the control group for my experiment of my life. So that's the concept anyway.
Habit struggle, balance lies, even temples dwarf in size. Metal skull as thick as glass, brittle conscience swallows mess. Inspecting and wetting lips, keeping a control group. My brother follows it. Accidents bellow in the industry, so keeping a control group. My brother follows it. Brother follows it. Topical charts, so reacting restlessness. unable to sleep, but recording the mess. Sloppy, dirty work, restricted to modest living, willing to ingest all that might kill me, injecting and wetting lips, yeah, for keeping a control group. My brother follows it. Accidents bellowing in the empty streets, keeping a control group. My brother follows it. My brother follows. My brother follows. My brother follows. My brother follows it. Oh yeah, my brother follows. Yeah, yeah, my brother follows. Follows, follows, it follows, it follows, it follows it.
All right, thank you, thank you. So you get what I'm saying? I willing to jest all right. Like I have to read back the lines because sometimes when you're singing them, you know, the emphaticness of it goes, okay, so habit, struggle, and balance lies even. All right, right. Look, screw that one. Okay, so the second verse is really where I thought was good. Topical charts of reacting restlessness, unable to sleep, but recording the mess. Sloppy, dirty work, restricted to modest living, willing to ingest all that might kill me. Inspecting and wetting lips, keeping a control group, my brother follows it. Accidents bellow in the empty streets, keeping a control group, my brother follows it. My brother follows, he follows it. Now, I think the unable to sleep but recording the mess is definitely about recording when I can't sleep or unable to do it. It's like, man, can you imagine having some of these things? It's like I will tell you that, you know, I've done a lot of things, put chemicals inside of me, but I'll tell you, there's nothing that's been more intense. And to understand depression or mania, it's more powerful than any drug that I could take. And that's saying a lot. I mean, because drugs can affect you and put you in a place that definitely. But this is like a surge of like a hurricane that's within you, and it just takes control, and you have to fight. You have to fight in order to. I mean, I've struggled, but like it's like trying to control that thing within you, and sometimes you know I've tried to like harness it or just like keep my shit together for just long enough just so that I can make it work, and you know, it never works. So like I'm trying to put myself into faith right now in terms of you know, just like I'm going to worry about it, but like having faith that something greater than yourself, something higher and a higher power is going to guide that, you know, because, you know, I'm getting in the way of it. I'm getting in the way of something that's planned, or something that is much greater for me than what I could conceive of. You know, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. It is. Because fiction is something that's come up with as a result of things that have happened. I love that movie called Storytelling, by Todd Soltz. He also did Happiness and a bunch of. He did Precious too, but you know, the whole thing of that is I liked because, you know, there's a point where there's a you know, nonfiction and fiction. They have two segments of the movie, and they say nonfiction is fiction as soon as you write it down, and nonfiction in terms of trying to be objective. It's just really great. It's really great. You know, Michael Moore should watch it. All right, so this is In My Heart, and this is another one I did with Low Rhythms, and definitely wrote with Todd, and I kind of identify with the drummers. Drummers really have helped me because it's one of the things I really don't. I love rhythm, but I'm not so. Uh, I'm not gifted in that way. The multi-moving. I mean, I can sing and play guitar, but for whatever reason, drumming, and doing the legs and everything, it's just not. I like it, but it's not my skill set, my wheelhouse, right? So I really appreciate drummers that can help me because being inspired by a rhythm helps me to come up with a riff or whatever that then inspires the music. Usually comes first, and then the words kind of are inspired by whatever the music is. So this one's In My Heart. All right, here.
Sitting down in the rain, it takes my whole brain to hope for the horse. In any event, I'm down. Makeup all over town. The witch is in heat. What do you keep when everything enters? Although every day makes me say, every day I wanna say, it's in my heart, it's in my heart. Today, wait for the undertow. It will be slow to grow. Rigid militia makes all that is in the game. Logic is helpless and loose lips they form all their lies. Every day, I wanna say. Every day, I wanna say. It's in my heart, it's in my heart. Baby, I won't make it. Babies, I fall naked. I'll turn around and dig it deep. Every soul will have a need. Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. Every day, yeah, I wanna say. Every day, yeah, I wanna say that it's in my heart, 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 my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. Okay. By the way, this is a 1996 Fender Strat that had customized, and I've been playing this since I wrote some of these songs. I started recording actually. Okay, so I got two more left. Two more. 11:26. I can talk some business, and one of the things I'm going to do is the two here are called Just Like You and Integration. Now, I actually do have to use the bathroom again, just one quick last time. This is just a quick bathroom break. So I'm going to give you a musical treat from, why don't we do one from the Ductape Halo Band so that you can kind of hear the version of Step High, because I think we may have
we may not have gotten to that when you heard it last time. It is a fun one, and I like that. It should be long enough, you know, be good long enough for me to be there. I'm just going to leave the scene as it is because I don't have any more pictures to share with you.
Made my way to paradise, worked my way to pain. Finish with my innocence, got no one to blame. Looking for salvation, sorry for a taste. Hoping for a second chance, out of ways. But I know it's not too late, no matter what they say. But I think that it's me, set me free. Till I begging for forgiveness, time is too long. And my family back in Jersey, I'm waiting for God. History's horizon, inspiration waiting. I'm not crossing from the ashes of the finish line. But I know it's not too late, no matter what they say. I think that it's me, set me free. Till high, till high. This is what I want. Till high, till the top of time. Till high, bleeding on the cross. Till high, bleeding in the God. Step high, step high, step high. Till high, but I know it's not too late, no matter what they say. I think that's me, tell me right. Till high, till high, till high.
Hey, I'm back. It was exactly 3 minutes. So yeah, I didn't do the pee right back, but I will say, just to say that I am, needing as much help as I can on this Corona situation. So I am putting up my donations. Welcome. And if you can see that, it's Daniel-Victor-2. And it's just sort of the etiquette here to at least say it. I'm just happy if you're watching, but I be honest, it would be really really nice if you could share anything. I know times are tight, so the joy of bringing this to you is really what it's all about. I forgot to put, this was the bathroom break sign I forgot to put up there. So back to this. I am coping with mental illness. That's the oh shit. That's the oh shit sign. Uh-oh. Watch out. I like doing this. And then I'm going to take it off because it rattles a little bit somehow. But, we got plenty of time till 12. But, I don't necessarily need to go all the way to 12. It's just that I allocated that time. So maybe what I'll do is I will the tune-in song. Yeah. All right. So maybe what I'll do is Actually, Alec Stevens gave me this as a present. 1 year. I'm not exactly sure what it was, what the occasion was, but I finally got a battery for it, so I've made use of it. Thank you, Alec. um, so, just like you, this is a song that I wrote about a past relationship that, everything. It's hard to, you compare everything to this particular situation. So it's like, by the way, this is a hand painted thing. You can't see it because the light is so bright, but it needs to be there. So here we go.
Last time I saw you, the look on your face, the fantasy's over, gone without a trace. Every hand I touch, I wonder where you are. You still have my heart. Alone in the dark, it feels just like you. And it tastes just like you. And I want it to be just like you. Shadows I forgot, in a breath all came back. Swelling in a vision of blues, I collapse. Why can't I move from the times that we had? The kisses that come to me just make me sad, and it feels just like you. And it tastes just like you. And I want it to be just like you. If you stop haunting me with the look in your eyes, I could love another, tell you goodbye, yeah. And it feels just like you. And it tastes just like you. And I want it to be just like you. And it feels, and it tastes, and I want it to be just like you. Just like you. Just like you.
All right. Thank you for Just Like You. I did that with my dad. I did that with Low Rhythms. I did that with my dad, and I wrote that before. I actually wrote that about another girl that I had feelings for. So integration. This one I'm going to leave off on, and it's interesting. I wrote this in 2001, and it's really about getting into school. When I first entered school, I had a very hard time not talking. It was like I had very little control over myself. I had to learn a lot of control. It was like I didn't know how. So people really saw that, people pick on you and everything. And I just, part of growing up, I mean, I grew up in my parents followed a guru, and I, did not know how to relate to a lot of people in the way they did. It was difficult because the relative experience of theirs was, more mainstream, So even as a young kid, I didn't really know how to fit in, beyond which I also, had this mental illness that I can trace back all the way back. It was, they called it hyperactivity, and again, in the 70s and the 80s, they didn't know what this stuff was, and they're still figuring it out. And I'm in my 40s now. So it's progressed for certain, but like, I mean, some of these people, state hospitals in the 60s were really bad, and were abusive, and a lot of the staff would abuse and rape, and I'm not saying this is every step, because like, to work in some of these places, you really genuinely have to care. The people who are good are really good. Now, I want you to make sure that you understand that I would not be where I am if it wasn't for the people. I wouldn't be alive, let's say, without the doctors and the psychiatrists, the psychologists, and the therapists that have helped me along the way. And part of the reason they do that so well is because they have to care. They have to have a need for some reason in their life. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to speak for somebody else, but without their help and support, but there's other people who have been really bad, and I don't know why. Everybody's different. People are people. Doctors are doctors. The same. Doctors are people too. So anyhow, integration was about feeling how I, didn't fit in, and like I'm being, fit into the system. And school is really just a way to condition you for society, public school. And I just did not vibe with it, So this is what that's about. All right.
Interesting, you ask. A task that eventually lasts 18 long years. Still so tender to jump into the loop. I don't understand why the kids all act like I'm an offender. Testing intelligence, teaching me belligerence. Timing is off. Why do you laugh at me? Integration. Here is the system. This is the program. Integration. Here is the system. This is the program. Tease me up as my pants and steal my lunch, and tell me that I weigh too much. Goofy when I walk, my clothes don't shine. If buttons stay pushed, I'll do just fine. If you pick a fight, I can't back off. I lack control that the others don't. I never thought I could feel this way, to want to kill for what they say. Testing intelligence. Teaching me belligerence. My timing is off. Why do you laugh at me? Integration. Here is the system. This is the program. Integration. Here is the system. This is the program. Integration. Here is the system. This is the program. Integration. Integration. Yeah, yeah. This is the system. This is the program.
Hey, thank you. I had to look. Thank you, Oscar. I really had to look at the words and the chords because it's not that long a song, but there's super many changes, and I thought it had to be complicated. And actually, it's kind of cool. Integration is a system. This is the program. You know, I mean, I love that chord progression for whatever reason. It's just a cool rhythm, and rhythm has always been something. Like, I'm not the best guitar player in the world for sure. There's always somebody who's better than you, right? But you know, this was just to read you. I did okay. Full disclosure, I did pee my pants when I was in first grade. I did have my lunch stolen. I was goofy when I walked. I was told that I weigh too much. My clothes were not always the newest. If buttons stayed unpushed, I'd do just fine. The thing is, the buttons would never stay unpushed. Somebody could always push my buttons and push me over the edge. If you pick a fight, I can't back off. I lack control that the others don't. Never thought I could feel this way, to want to kill for what they say. Now, there's a difference between having real thoughts about hurting somebody and planning to hurt somebody, and just like having the feeling of, like, you know, such cruelty, you know. And I mean, they say, oh, kids could be so cruel. I says, yeah, kids can be cruel, but come on now. I have to say that, you know, it's unacceptable. I mean, I remember a kid, like there's a couple times when I was like, you know, bullies. I really did not like bullies. I was in second grade and I got in fights, and, you know, in the schoolyard. And when I got older, I didn't get in as many fights and stuff. But I remember one kid, I'm wearing contacts right now, but I normally wear glasses, and I had my glasses stolen from this kid, and he thought it was all funny. So I punched him in the back and he fell down and I got my glasses back. But that caused such a problem. Good, again, called into the principal's office. You know, but it's like, how do you react to these things in an appropriate way? You know, I mean, you know, is there an appropriate way to, you know, do that and to handle that kind of behavior through children? And I know that now things are a lot different, but that was 1980 something, you know. Another time, I remember this kid just was punching me, and I punched him back. You know, again, another thing, you know, and I think maybe it's an age thing. I remember there was a kid bullying this other kid, and this other guy just decided to start punching me in the head, and I, you know, or punching, you know, like bullying on him. And I said, look, you know, don't do that. That's not cool. I remember I was about seventh grade, and this guy ends up punching me in the head, you know. And I just, you know, sometimes you got to stand up for yourself, and, you know, whatever that means, you know, maybe you have to stand up to a bully. Sometimes you have to walk away. You know, whatever you do, you know, you gotta, it's not about proving something or proving you're a man or whatever. It's about proving you have respect for yourself. And when you have respect for yourself, people will, you know, will not be able to get at you. But, you know, because I didn't have the tools, I was going through some difficult times with my family's divorce, and some of the things were happening behind closed doors. It was difficult for me to handle normal life. And so, you know, that's why I got into these situations so much. And then, you know, you get a little older and time goes by and you start to learn how to relate to people. But I always had a hard time relating. To people. So, you know, you fill up space by talking. You do different things. You do things, and hopefully, you know, you figure out a formula that works. And for me, that's why art, music, creativity, all of these things were ways that I could poetry was actually the first thing. I was in the first time I sort of I was published. I was in middle school, and I submitted a story called Midnight Miracle about it was just about this. I guess I was 12, and it's called Children's Album, and I won first place, and it got published and in print. And it was about a Christmas Eve where this mother and family, his son got evicted on Christmas Eve. They had nowhere to go, and then ended up going to the diner, and the diner was held up, and the son was shot. And then they go to the emergency room, and the son is saved. Says, okay, well, the doctor says, hey, your son's alive, it's all good. And she's like, well, shit, man, I don't have any way to pay, and I don't have any I don't have no place to stay. I mean, this is, I'm so grateful that my son's alive, but I have nowhere for him to take care of him. And the doctor says, well, listen, I'll help you. I'll take care of your situation. And this is what I was writing. And I think that the story could have been longer, it could have been better, it could have been well worked. But you got to also realize I was a child writing about these concepts that were very adult. So it for whatever reason ended up striking somebody, and I got published in then our school's Apollonia Expressions, I think. And then I started writing. I wrote some poems for that, and I liked poetry, so especially stuff that rhymed, and that's why it lended itself to songwriting. So then after that, I started drawing some illustrations, some poor illustrations, but I really liked it, So I sort of realized I liked that even more than writing. Drawing, I liked drawing, writing. And I remember I was into Metallica at the time, and Justice for All came out, and I remember I made a sweatshirt and I drew on it, and I turned it inside out, and I drew the injustice, the blind justice, scales, and the Metallica crossed it. And then I was really into Iron Maiden. I drew Eddie Somewhere in Time. I copied it from the album cover. And, again, I was young, 13, maybe, 14. And then I just started, I thought that's what I'd like to do. So I ended up, having a lot of work to do to catch up and to build a portfolio. But I eventually, got into art school. I went to Kutztown University for graphic design, but I had originally gone, and I'm totally self-taught in terms of musicianship. So I taught myself how to songwrite. But I think all of these art forms sort of lend themselves to each other. So, you can see parallels, because everything process is similar. It's just that the definitions, depending on what you're applying it to. So if you understand process of cooking, right, you can understand the process of drawing a picture. You're just learning the craft, which is the medium in which you're working. So if you're you're a computer scientist, science is very creative. There are so many ways in which to channel your, whatever it is that interests you, and everybody's gift is different. But I think process is what unites us. So, and however you create your life is dependent upon what your process is and how successful that is I'm sitting here, unemployed for a year and a half because of my situations that happened, my psychotic break and whatnot. But the truth is a year later, I'm so much better place. I'm so much more at peace. And this is even recent. Every day is a miracle. Every day is better. And I'm so grateful to have been able to play these songs for you and been able to, get through 44 songs and 44 years. And I believe me, I've written more, but I feel like these are 44 songs that are definitely worth hearing, and sort of, talked a lot about, mental chillness. So music plus mental chillness equals happiness and contentment. Thank you very much. I wanted to thank you for watching. If you've stayed here the whole time, these are my nephews, and I dedicate this performance to them. And it's the easiest way, the mug, to show them, Ben and Jake. And I really loved making the Millennium Falcon. I think that was a lot of fun. And even though nostalgic wise, I was yelling and screaming the whole time. There's F-bombs being dropped like mad. It was still a really amazing time, and I will always cherish that memory. So I'm going to just plug myself one more time for donations, because I said I'd go till did I not do it? Okay, hold on a second. I would go till midnight because on the 10th I went in, and 17 hours later I was admitted, and I was there for 2 weeks. But after that began my journey of every day dealing with this thing. And I definitely had some backsliding, and I had some relapses, and it was not great. It was not great. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to do Replicate the Sea, but I didn't end up doing that. I'm curious to see if I had Replicate the Sea in here, but I don't think I have it. This is Fond Night, and oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play Low Key Confessions. This was from the Legend in My Own Mind movie that I had put together, stacking VCRs and giving it out as a Christmas gift to my family. So I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to give you my tip at Venmo at Daniel-Victor-2, and thank you. I'm gonna kind of let this play out as I let myself clean up, kind of just slumber. Heavy hit Monday, I don't ever go away. Carpet covered, so I don't get trampled under. 'Cause there's a whole heart of matter that takes a message from a God that breaks my heart. Come back to me, little register. Hear confession. Email covering up my mistakes, like a thoughtful player makes. Missed all your luscious, precious bushel. Lost in devastation. Bastard, killing case. Low-key confession is late in the rain. Party pooper in the backyard.
ripped out of gold, and you lips on my neck can't keep it moist in a sweaty season. Yes, just 1/4 of the year. Driving sucks and I get picked up on the side of a resistance. Goodbye, you're aggressor. Personal tragedy parading. Policemen, they'll cuff you before you make it out the door. The record's spinning right now, and you got a price of admission. And I think you correct my eyes. Correct my eyes. Correct my eyes. Thank you, and have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful day. And remember, follow your heart. It'll never go wrong.